Feel really good about the signing class. Typical of what we say each year, but this year, according to websites and services, is probably the best class we've ever signed statistically. Could end up being a top 20 class, certainly inside the top 25, at least most likely, which is our highest class ever as far as that goes. So a lot of positive things there. Still not finished, obviously, with the transfers in play, not knowing for certain who we're going to possibly lose from the roster down the road. There'll be more to come, but for the moment, we've got all the signees we expected except for one, and we expect that later today. And of course, we can't talk about the guys that we don't have the letters on. So there's one guy that we won't be able to mention, but everybody else is signed, and like I said, we felt like we really did ourselves some good with this class. In-state, felt really good about in-state. Four in-state kids, four of the top kids in the state that we got. California, 4 kids, Hawaii 3, Arizona, Nevada, Mississippi, Kansas, Idaho, and Florida, 1 each, and then 2 in Texas. So that's the makeup of the class. 9 on O, 9 on D that will be coming in. We have 3 of the signees that will be serving LDS missions before they enroll. Brock Fanoi Moana, Hunter Clegg, and Matiaki Helu, Hunter and Matiaki from in-state, and Brock is from Hawaii. We have 2 additional transfers. I don't know if, can I talk about transfers yet? I don't even know. We got 2, I'm sure you guys know who they are. We got 2 transfers that are committed to us as well that we really are excited about. And actually it's 3 now. It'll be 3, and I can't really say anything about any of those guys, but those guys are going to be big pluses for our roster. So that's where we're at. Don't expect a lot of activity in the second signing day. 95% of the country will sign today, in my estimation. Roughly, that percentage goes up a little bit each year. But there could be a guy or 2, but I would doubt it. I would say the rest, the ones that we supplement these guys with, will be transfers out of the portal to be determined as we go through this thing. And of course, there's the portal activity is open now till mid-January, closes down, then opens back up again. 1st of May, my guess is there's going to be a pretty big influx of players on that time period that didn't come out of spring ball where they wanted, and so there'll be another big portal rush May 1st, and I think it goes 15 days, May 1st to May 15th, I believe it is. Is that right, Bobby? Is that accurate? Okay. So that's where we are. So what questions do you have?
Mississippi is outside of your traditional recruiting footprint. How did you find Mac Howard? How did you connect with him? What do you like about him?
Yeah, Chad Bumpus is from Mississippi, played at Mississippi State, has a lot of contacts there. That is our connection to Mississippi. We really like what Mac did. He transferred schools his senior year. He was at a different high school his junior year, moved up a level. But he's an accurate thrower. He's extremely intelligent, a really good match personality-wise for Coach Ludwig. I mean, he's a cerebral guy and makes very few mistakes, and we think he's got a lot of development that's going to take place. He's a guy that will continue to get bigger and stronger. But as far as his mechanics, his release, pass rush awareness, all those things that we look for in a quarterback, he checks those boxes.
Kyle, I might have missed it when you were doing all that with the church mission and everything, but how many of these guys are early enrollees? Do you know that?
Good question. We do know that, and so far of the guys that we have right now, which again is just about all but one, 5 will be early enrollees: Mac Howard, Mikey Matthews, Spencer Fano, Owen Chambliss, and Jonathan Hall, in addition to at least 3 transfers. Well, I should say at least 2 for certain.
Coach, talk about the in-state hall with the point of emphasis there that you have on in-state.
Yeah, that is always our starting point. In-state, we never want to miss a kid in-state. We want to get great and thorough and accurate evaluations on everybody in the state of Utah. Bobby neglected to break it down by state here. Why'd you do that, Bobby? But I can tell you who those guys are. Hunter Clegg that we mentioned from American Fork, a terrific pass rusher and a guy that we think has got a big upside. Matiaki Helu, a guy that plays both ways. We're going to play him on defense. We think he's going to be a safety or a linebacker. Spencer Fano, one of the best tackles in the country, let alone the state of Utah. He was a big time get for us. Let's see here. Smith Snowden, terrific corner, and we think he's going to figure in right away. We lose Clark, and we have a very thin nickel depth chart right now, nickel spot, and so we think that Smith is going to be a guy that figures in as well, and I believe that's the four guys that we have from in-state. Did I miss anybody, Bobby? Correct. So those are the four guys. And again, I think all those four guys are in the top 10 in the state, if not even higher. I mean, those guys are, like I said, really good players.
Kyle, sort of alluded to this already, but these guys are not on campus yet. But do any of them strike you as guys who could step in immediately and play a role?
I think that's pretty much every year. It's changed. It used to be you'd bring in the freshman class and 80% of them would redshirt or more. Now it's less than 50% redshirt, and so we'll just gauge their readiness. Obviously, the guys that come in at break have a little bit of an advantage because they're going to be here for all of winter conditioning, all of spring ball, so they'll get a head start on that. So those 5 players will be at an advantage. It also depends on what position group you're in. Some position groups are more depleted than the others. Some have a bunch of returners, and so that plays into it. But we don't care if you've been here 5 days or 5 years. If you're the best player, you're going to play, and so everyone will get their opportunity.
Yeah, we've got a bunch of guys that are still trying to figure out their futures on if they're going to go pro or whatever they're going to do. How do you factor that in with this recruiting and transfers and everything else?
Yeah, it's not an exact science because you don't know for sure because they don't know for sure. I mean, you can't press them for an answer. We'd like to be able to do that, but it's not fair to them. I mean, it's a big decision for those guys, and so we let them go at their own pace. Some position guys that are making decisions have a bigger impact than others, but we feel like we've covered our bases for right now, what we know right now, and our best, I guess you could say, projection or best guess scenario. If things happen differently than we have them laid out and anticipate, then again, the transfer thing is really a safety valve for you, and you can cover up a lot of those departures with players from the portal.
Coach, I'd be curious to get your thoughts on the offensive line haul and specifically what it says about Coach Harding and that group.
Yeah, we got a wealth of riches, an embarrassment of riches at the offensive line position, and that's a good thing to have because if you have a solid first-rate offensive line, everything seems to be pretty easy on offense, or everything seems to work. I shouldn't say easy, but getting Spencer Fano and Caleb Lomu, who's terrific. I mean, he's another 4-star guy from the state of Arizona that we're thrilled to get. And then Roger Alderman he's a little under the radar. We think he's really good. He's an inside 3 guy. He's a guard tackle or a guard center guy. But those 3 guys with everything we got already in the offensive line coming back, that's going to be a group that, like I said, is very deep and should be good for years to come.
Well, after you guys won the Pac-12 championship, it seemed like Spencer Funnel was the guy that was kind of the guy that got the in-state recruits snowballing. Did you see that, or was it just kind of do you think the Pac-12 championship had that effect, or was it just a different circumstance?
Well, we felt good about Spencer all along. We've had a great relationship with him and his family. He's a guy that always seemed to really be receptive to us and felt like we were in the pole position, I guess you could say, with him. And as recruiting went on, that certainly didn't hurt when you win the Pac-12 championship. And is that the thing that made him ultimately make the final call? I don't know. I think we may have got him either way, but we're excited to have him. And there's other members of his family that we hope join us too. So.
Any other questions?
Yeah, Kyle, this is kind of
Personal?
personal. No.
No, okay.
I'm curious if you had any thoughts on the death of Franco Harris, those Steelers.
Oh,
teams,
yeah.
You were a kid.
That was my team growing up, as I'm sure it was a lot of people's team, and those guys were just dominating in the 70s with the steel curtain defense and Franco and Terry Bradshaw and all those guys on defense, and that, the immaculate reception. I mean, that stuff. I watched that, as it happened, not live, but on TV, but not at the stadium. But man, that's a blow. I mean, that's like. Just someone that you really can relate to, and I like I said, he was my, one of my favorite Steelers, and that was something that really hit me hard. Obviously, Coach Leach, losing Coach Leach was much closer to the heart, and wish I could have gone to the funeral, but we had things I had to do here. But anyways, yeah. To answer your question, I'm a big Steelers fan. Have a Franco Harris jersey in my office. Have a Steeler helmet, the terrible towel. I got the whole gamut of Steeler stuff right there in my office, and just used to love those guys.
Do you feel like you've gotten a better handle of mixing NIL and recruiting together now this far?
I think so. I think we're striking a pretty good balance for us. There's other teams that are way heavier in the portal. Some teams try to shy away from it altogether. But I think for us and what we're about, what has happened is really the portal has supplanted the JC transfer, because we historically got a lot of mileage out of JC players back in the, in the 90s and the first 15 years of the 2000s. It started to taper off. But now with the transfer portal, that's almost taken its place, because there's less risk in it. You got to get a JC guy. You're not sure how he's going to acclimate and assimilate into Power 5 football. Where if you get a guy, that's already been there, done that, it's more of a proven commodity.
You've got a lot of high school players who played both ways, and some of them we saw here in the state, and they were really good on the offensive side of the ball.
Right.
It looks like you've moved anybody who's iffy to the defensive side of the ball.
Well, yeah, I don't know who you're referring to. Tell me who you're referring to, like Halu? What? Yeah, and he still might be a running back. We're going to give him his, our thought is probably a safety or maybe a linebacker. But when he gets back off his mission, he will be able to start at whichever position and when I've had that conversation with him, I said, Montiaki, if you feel like you're a running back, that's no problem. I can't, it's 2 years away, or 3 years actually, 3 seasons. Who knows what the rooms will look like and where the biggest need will be at that point in time. And if you have a strong feeling one way or the other, we'll go with that. If you don't care, then we'll most likely put you on defense, or unless there's a big void in the running back room.
And brought the wide receiver, or was that not a close call?
Say that again.
From Kahuku, brought.
For Nui Moana, yeah, we think he's a defender. We think he's going to be a terrific safety. And even though we got him at linebacker, he'll probably start off at safety, and then as he gets bigger, which we've done so many times with guys, they slide in to the safety position. But he's going on a mission. He may, one time we sent a kid on a mission. He was 6'3", 190, and he came back 6'5", 310 in 2 years. And so he went from free safety to O-tackle, and he got off the plane, didn't even recognize him. I was looking for him, and the guy walks right by me, and I couldn't. So that has happened. So we'll see what happens on the mission with this kid as well.
Coach, you had a remarkable December, 8 commitments, 9 meetings, I think?
Something like that.
Something like that?
Yeah.
For fans, it's a lot of fun. How rewarding is it for you coaches to have a month like that where you're just getting...
Oh, it's awesome. It's absolutely fantastic, and we traditionally have been strong finishers. We've closed out the recruiting thing pretty strong in most years. There may be an exception or two, but that's been our MO for a lot of years, and I can't tell you why, but maybe we recruit a lot of guys that are on the fence and haven't, and we're maybe a little more patient than some schools. Some schools may say, hey, tell me now, or we're moving on, where we maybe stick with guys a little longer and see if we can tilt the scales in our favor later on in the process.
You only have a couple, you're only announcing right now a couple kids from Southern California beating USC twice and winning back-to-back conference championships. Changed the lay of the land in Southern California?
Well, it certainly has helped us. I mean, that, like I said, that always helps. Let's see, our California kids, the Alderman kids, Sonora High School, he did not have a USC offer. But, and all these guys, if you look at the schools that we were competing with, I mean, this is a good list of competition, and we're pleased about that. But to answer your question, it's still SC's and UCLA's backyard, and it's still tough to go, no matter how successful you are, it's still tough to go in there and take someone away that they really have their sights set on. But we've done it in the past. It's not, we don't make a habit of it, but it happens here and there.
How much can it translate? In the past, you've had guys who haven't had as many stars, but they've had huge upside, and you ended up sending a bunch of those guys to the NFL. These guys are coming in with more stars. They've seen more finished products. Do they still have a ton of upside, or?
We think so, but some of them are already really, really good right now, and so it's I don't want to say a trade-off, but you bring in a player that's more highly regarded and higher rated and higher performing, then he doesn't have as far to go to make it to the next level as a guy that maybe is really raw, and so it's kind of relative to that situation.
Final question.
There's a new rule with the NCAA where.
This is fun. We don't need to stop this.
Where early enrollees can enroll in December, is that right? Do you have any guys that are enrolling?
Well, they can't roll. They can get admitted and get their class, but they got to wait until January. You know, when the semester starts. This year it's January 9th, and so you know, they can get admitted and get their classes set for the next semester, but nobody physically comes in and you know, the semester's over. There's really nothing to enroll to at that period of time. We're done with school right now, so the mid-year are all January guys. Everyone. Well, I shouldn't say everyone. Sometimes we get a guy that has some things to finish up, and we get him in at the second block of winter or spring semester, which is towards the end of March. Actually, towards the beginning of March. Yeah. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Kyle.
Thanks, Cal.
It's been a good year. Appreciate the coverage.